Go Jackets.
Hello, all, and welcome to Rec Talk. There's seems like a news happening every day with conference realignment. Right now, um, I know that the ACC is in trouble, but you look at all these videos coming out, and everyone is really acting as if the ACC is just going to implode yesterday. Um, which is far from the case. Now, obviously, Florida State kind of seems to be leading the charge. I think they even said like, "Hey, we would go it alone, litigate the grant of rights, and just pay out the 120 million if no one wanted to come with us." Which seems kind of that seems like a bluff to me for sure. But it got me thinking because this is all about money, right? Oh, we need the revenue share isn't good enough. It's not fair that Clemson and Florida State bring in, the majority of the fans watching and have to split evenly. So it got me thinking, like, what exactly was the revenue share for each Power Five conference last year? I haven't seen anyone. I'm sure there's a video been put out about it. I haven't seen it. So here it is. Pulled it off. So obviously the Big Ten is leading the country with 845 million total, 58.8 million per team. Now, excuse my mouse handwriting. I just snipped this off. Basically, I'm showing what the parities between different conferences are. So the SEC bringing in 802 million, basically 50 million per team. It kind of surprised me that to see the Big Ten's making about 9 million more per team than the SEC. And third is the ACC. So with this pants on fire mentality everyone has, you would think the ACC's dead last in revenue share, and we're giving each team pennies, but we're third. We're third in total revenue. However, the Big 12 is third in per team payout per school, which we'll get into. So ACC giving anywhere between 37.9 and 41.3 million a year. Now the ACC has different incentives. Like I think Clemson last year got about $1 million in bonuses for their school for making the ACC title. And we actually talked about this on the midday show. I went on Pigskin Pete's show with Slim, Colby, and others, and I really agree with Pete that that's just kind of a Band-Aid to kind of just hold things in place for like another year until, we can figure something better out. But 37.9 million a team. I mean, that's 12 million per year less than SEC teams are getting, and basically 21 million per year less than you're making than a Big Ten school. So that hurts. I mean, you think in 5 years, that's $100 million. You'd be up if you went to the Big Ten. So I can definitely see where. I mean, look, that's a ton of money that you can increase your staff, coaches you can hire, recruiting budgets. I mean, that's kind of everything as far as what you're able to do as a school. So. Pac-12 is in dead last. I know I said is ACC on life support in my last video. Really, the Pac-12 is I think in the most dire situation, losing their two best teams. So what we're afraid of happening to the ACC with Clemson and Florida State leaving has already happened with both the Pac-12 and the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12, and UCLA and USC leaving the Pac-12. So 22 million less, Pac-12 schools are making per year than Big Ten, which is almost the same as what ACC schools are missing out in the same parity. So that's surprising. Now the Big 12 teams do make more per year, that because there's going to be less teams and there are less teams. There'll be 4 less teams in the Big 12 than there are in the ACC. So Pac-12 is going to go from 12 teams to 10 with USC and UCLA leaving. The Big 10 is going to go from 14 to 16 with obviously the aforementioned schools coming to the Big 10. SEC taking Texas and Oklahoma. They'll go from 14 to 16 too, and right now the ACC is holding at 14 teams. So, I said it in the last video, and I give J-Bat and Tech administration kind of the benefit of the doubt here. It would surprise me, or maybe just really disappoint me, if they're not already in talks with the Big 10. It kind of makes me think, kind of the last job I was at, I had some foresight, inside information into major changes coming in the company I worked at, and so I went ahead and prepared. I made calls with some other companies, said, look, I think I might be on the job market soon. Do you have anything? What salary do you think we could agree on? So I already had that set up before poop hit the fan at my other job, and it would be insane if Tech is not doing that right now. Now, I know some people commented on the last video like, well, Tech should join this Magnificent Seven. I don't think that. I think you just kind of sit on the sideline and watch and see how things are going to shake out, make the best decision you can. I mean, we don't necessarily have the money to be kind of leading the charge on anything. And I don't want the ACC to fail. Like, I don't want this. If the ACC fails, it's just AFC and NFC. It's a 2-conference thing. And I don't even think SEC and Big Ten people necessarily want to see that. That would be a situation where if your team isn't in one of those 2 conferences, you might not even watch college football anymore. I know Slim Shady Canes said that, and I kind of tend to agree with him, because how then are you going to even compete? What then will your revenue per school look like if you're not in those 2 conferences? So I think the only path forward is that you've got to start pulling teams from the Pac-12 or the Big 12 if you can. Now, not likely you're going to pull teams from the Big 12. I think they just renegotiated things. They're pulling kind of the better group of 5 schools out. So could you get like Oregon State to come over? That would pull us to 16. Could you get, what other, let me look at the teams in the Pac-12. I don't watch it, so. Even like Cal, get the AC. That would be tough on their travel schedule, but could you get like Cal and Utah and Oregon to come over? Maybe you bring 4 teams over and just totally destroy the Pac-12. Could you bring Cal, Cal, Oregon State, and Utah? That would make the ACC. ACC would really be strengthened with that. Oregon, usually a good team. Utah is a sneaky good team usually. Utah is a team that you don't want to play if you are a good team, because they're always well coached, and they just kind of play above their means. So that would be exciting to see. But you've got to be pulling in other teams. Now, we also talked on the midday show there's other group of 5 teams like UCF you could bring in. They're a better group of 5 team. Even like Memphis, App State. I think App State would be, an interesting addition. Point being, you got to do something. You can't just say, Grant Wrights is gonna solve the day. I would actually be excited. We bring in Utah, Oregon State, and Cal. Like that would be exciting, and you kind of revive the ACC and really, that would probably allow you to renegotiate your grant rights with ESPN. Say, look, now we have a major market in the western part of the country. Obviously, this media deal is more valuable. Let's get something closer. Maybe you could even equal what the revenue share for the SEC is, or be within, $3 or $4 million of it. I think that would probably save the day. So, again, I know this has kind of been taught to death, but it's kind of got me scared to death. I love the ACC show. If you don't watch the ACC show on Pigskin Pete's channel, Pigskin Pete and Sea Dog do. It's a ton of fun. I love the ACC, and I don't want to see it go anywhere. But we will see. Now, before I go, I did want to mention this. I talked about recruiting a little bit. As a Tech fan, or not, even if you're not a Tech fan, if we ranked what the recruiting budgets are from most to least for the ACC teams, where do you think Georgia Tech would shake out in that for 2022? I'll wait. Go ahead and put your guesses in now. If you said anything but 3, you're wrong, and that shocked the fool out of me. It's Clemson spends the most. They spend about $3.2 million. Then it's North Carolina. Let's see, they spent about 1.3, and then Tech right under them at 1.2 million. Tech is outspending every other team in recruiting for 2022. Excuse me. Louisville, Virginia, Florida State, Virginia Tech. I mean, how are we outspending Florida State in recruiting? Now, that probably doesn't tell the whole story, and I will admit that. With NIL, I mean, you could be spending, I don't know, $20 million in NIL nonsense. Or I shouldn't say nonsense, but that cost isn't really captured here. And I'll probably do another NIL video. Like, I think all that should be public. Like, we should know, like, this Stone kid that's going to Ole Miss, I want to know how much he's getting paid to go over there. All this secret behind the doors BS needs to stop. But anyways, tell me what you think. Did the revenue share surprise you, what the parity is? Did the recruiting budget surprise you? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think we should do? By the way, tune in to the Rec Talk live show this Sunday, 8 p.m. The channel has just become monetized. I've created memberships. If you join, I think it's $5 a month. There's special emojis. You get a shout out in videos, and there's some other perks. Definitely tune in to that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more. And call in if you want. It'll be a call-in show. I'd love to hear from you guys. Have a good one.